UvaldeRadio.net. Good evening. Happy Friday. It is the weekend, and we are in downtown Uvalde. It's also Pink Friday in downtown Uvalde, so ladies want to get that early holiday shopping going on. No, it's not Black Friday. It's Pink Friday in the downtown boutiques. But we are here at Broadway 830, 100 East Main Street in downtown Uvalde, a thing called Friday Night Live, and it normally features the rising stars of Texas music. But we got a guy who's not from Texas, but he loves Texas a lot, apparently, and he's making his trek through this great nation, and he's in here in Uvalde for the first time, right?
Absolutely,
from Oregon.
From Oregon, yeah.
Okay, so is it Oregon? Is it Oregon? How do we like to say it?
It's Oregon.
Oregon?
Yeah, Oregon is only for East Coasters most of the time.
East Coast? What about Yankees? Because I'm originally from Ohio, so...
That makes sense.
Would we say that?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to say Oregon, because they're all gone up in Oregon.
That's true.
So we got Jeremy Wayne McKern here. How you doing, sir?
Thank you.
Welcome to Uvalde, man.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks for the welcome.
So, your first time here in town.
This is my first time in Uvalde.
Is this the furthest south in Texas you've been so far, or have you been a little further?
No, I used to work in Texas, and
really?
I used to work around the Houston area, so I've been down to Galveston. And
so is Houston more southern than...
Is it not?
Well, it's more eastern.
Oh, well,
all right, well... We're on the west side, the west southern side.
Then maybe I am the furthest south.
I don't really know. It's pretty... I think it's close, though. We're a little southern, okay, because they call us Southwest Texas. So
I don't have a map in my head. So.
I don't either. So I think, okay, I lost that geography lesson years ago. But man, welcome to Uvalde. So
Thanks.
did you get a chance to spin around town or anything before?
Not really. We just kind of rolled in hot, getting here and making sure we got everything set up.
Well, before you leave, be sure and just drive around this area here, a few blocks. We got a historic opera house, literally right around the corner, built in 1836, the second oldest functioning opera house in the state of Texas. Some beautiful historic courthouses and whatnot. So it's a beautiful little town, and we're more than just the stuff you hear in the news.
Yeah.
So welcome again, and
thank you so much.
Before we get into your story, man, tell me a little. I think you might be the first person that's ever admitted that I've met from Oregon. So. Tell me about Oregon, man. What's going on there?
You know, Oregon's an interesting place. You know, it's a large state, and it's beautiful. I mean, my grandparents have lived there forever, and my parents now live there, and I'm still there for a few more years. My daughter's in school, and once she gets out, then I'm probably going to leave Oregon. But Oregon's a beautiful state. It's just got some crazy things that are happening there in the last several years.
Well, what is Oregon most known for?
Oregon probably is most known for, well, wines.
Besides Jeremy Wayne McKern.
Like the Willamette Valley wines. Also the fact that you could be surfing one day and drive an hour and be on the mountain slopes up there.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got everything. We've got every climate there, and you know, the massive majority of the state is all a lot of rural and farmland and a lot of timber. And the biggest industries in Oregon are fishing and timber and farming. So, I mean,
you speaking of timber, you look like a lumberjack.
Yeah, I'm not a lumberjack, but I definitely my neighbors growing up were all lumberjacks.
Really?
And even the baseball team that I played on when I was younger.
I can see you, man, with an axe and a flannel shirt and a big old ox.
For sure. I'm not a small dude, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're a mountain of a man. So, well, welcome, man, and it's cool to get a little learning about Oregon. So, how was the trip from Oregon to Texas? How far of a drive is that? Did you drive first of all? Or fly?
The next time I come down, which will probably be after the first of the year, I'll be driving. But this trip was flew into San Antonio.
Okay, smart man. Okay.
And then I'm staying out in New Braunfels and been checking out some of the sites there as well. But
New Braunfels, that's where it's kicking in Texas, man. Everybody wants to be in New Braunfels.
I totally nerded out at Green Hall.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I got in there.
I still haven't been there yet. I've had a couple of dates plans to be there, but something always comes up. I'm like you. I'm a dad of a teenage high school kid.
Yeah.
So she's always got me going, and things are always coming up. But I'll make it out there. It's just far enough from Uvalde to where you got to do it like a sleepover.
Yeah.
If you're gonna party in Green Hall, you're gonna party, right? So it's a hotel, and then and I'm a busy guy, so it never works out for me. But I'm kind of jealous that you've already been there, done that, and I haven't. So.
Yeah, I definitely went around and took video of all the pictures on the wall and stuff, because I mean that's history right there for country music, and particularly for Texas country music.
So let's talk about, before we get into your musical story, what is your history in Texas? Because you said you've been here before. You got family here?
I used to have a ton of family down here. Now I still have a bunch of friends and a few family members, but I used to always spend a lot of time in the Houston area because my aunt and uncle live there, and my uncle works in oil and gas, and I was working working in oil and gas as well as mining and railroad. So I spent some time down there.
Can you not have a manlier job? I mean, you're like the biggest dude I've ever seen, and you're like oil and gas and lumberjack, and it's awesome.
Well, I just figure it gives me a lot more stuff to write about when I'm writing
for
my
sure.
song,
Yeah.
No, I've always loved Texas, and I tell people there's two states that I really wanted to live in while I was since forever, and one was Montana and the other one's Texas, and they're about as far apart as you could be. But like, I just love the people and I just love it down here. I love the atmosphere, and I really liked Montana as well. But they've only got 1 million people in the whole state, something like that.
Funny you brought that up, because when I was a child, when I was younger, I wanted to move to Montana. And people ask me, because I just, when you're a kid, you learn about American history and geography, and I remember looking at pictures of a state, and I was like, that just place looks beautiful and cool and awesome. And it was always like my answer, where'd you like to go? Montana. I didn't know what you could do there, how I was going to make a living, but that was always like my answer as a kid. And I need to delve back into that. Just kind of look it up and see. Maybe that's something I can do when my daughter graduates. Who knows?
Yeah, I actually did live in Montana for about a year.
Cool.
Working in mining, of course, again. But that year, the year that I lived there, we had 100 inches of snow in that winter.
Wow.
And every time I came back to my driveway had another 1.5 foot snow on it. So it was like never-ending battle trying to shovel the snow off my driveway so I could get into my garage.
Wow, so you've been around the world, or at least around the great nation.
I have.
See a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Spent some good time in Texas. So is it safe to say that time in Texas was your influence as far as Texas music, or at least country music, goes?
Absolutely, and I've been a country music fan since birth. Really, I mean, my very first concert was a Willie Nelson concert at 4 years old.
Nice.
So, and my parents always listened to country growing up, and so that's always been it. And then we've got a strong military thing going on too. So I'm a retired 21-year Navy veteran as well.
Thank you for your service. Very cool. And from what I understand, this little tour you're doing here is kind of a veterans. Last week was Veterans Day.
It is.
And I know Mark Seby's been trekking you around the hill country in southwest Texas.
Yeah.
And you're a veteran. And again, thank you for your service. You guys, you're the reason we can do what we do and have the life that we have. What kind of? It's just Veterans Tour because it's the week of Veterans Day, or have you had any kind of special veterans moments or acknowledgments?
Well, I'm just a big advocate for veterans in general, and I have some other songs as well that I've written about these things. But I really want to give back to the veterans community, and I want to bring more awareness to a lot of the issues that are going on in our government and with our military now, not taking care of veterans. And we've got this I won't call it a pandemic, it's an epidemic of on average 22 veterans a day that take their own lives because of PTSD, and it's really difficult for people to get into the VA. And I'm in the VA system, and I can speak from experience. It's hard.
Well, give me some more of your personal story. What was the hardest part for you, I guess, being a veteran, or sort of doing your time and then coming back and kind of being, I guess, regular guy, civilian type?
It's a huge transition, and I think I tend to be a little bit high-strung. I was actually diagnosed with PTSD through the VA, and it's a different level of expectation. You go through all this hardcore training so that you can act out when need be to take care of business, and then when you get back, now you got to calm down, and transition back into society,
and you're so pumped up, and you're ready to deal with the unspeakable if you have to, and then you hear and the problems, and then you got to deal with these cities who act like it's and everything's the end of the world, and really it's like, dude, just be thankful for that you're just who you are, and that you got real no issues.
Exactly, and I mean, and that's it for me. It's just like we're all here at the end of the day to make sure that we keep this country free, and and the veterans are the ones that are out there on the front lines making sure that it stays that way. And I don't agree with everything that we're doing by any means.
Sure.
I think I don't think that we should be doing as much as we are, but I still definitely want to continue to stick up and bring more light to the men and women that are serving in our military.
And that's what the military is about. I mean, it's about making the commitment to do what your country needs you to do, even if you don't agree 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
You kind of signed on that dotted line, and you kind of given your life to that cause, and we appreciate that because we live in a very spoiled world now where everybody wants to do what makes them happy, and they're not willing to see the greater picture, the greater good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what you servicemen and women do is basically have to do what the people that are in charge do, and that's how it works. That's what keeps us free, man. I guess following those orders.
Absolutely, right? and I want to continue to stand up for people to have the right to right to free speech, and like everybody should be able to speak their mind and have a conversation, and I think that's important. And I don't care what walk of life you come from, you should be able to have a conversation. And
what was the best experience in the military, or what was the greatest thing that you took away from the experience?
Oh gosh, best experience. Well, probably one of the coolest experiences was getting to travel overseas on deployments. Mm-hmm. I've done 2 deployments to South America and the Caribbean, doing counter drug operations, counter narcotics operations.
Wow. And
then also out in the Gulf, doing checking for contraband coming in and out of Iraq. But the cool things were all the cool ports that we got to go. I've been to Australia. I've been to Hong Kong, Singapore.
So you have been around the world.
I've literally been around the world, yeah.
So you must have so much to write about also. So again, we've got here Jeremy Wayne McKern. He's in from Salem, Oregon.
Yes.
Here in Uvalde for the very first time. We're doing Friday Night Live music on the patio from 7 to 10 p.m. Brought here to Uvalde by Mr. Mark Sebi of Sebi Promotions. Love this guy. He's a good guy. Has he been treating you well?
Oh, he's been doing great. I love this guy already.
So, we're going to try to get Sebi on the air. Talk. Maybe I'll give a couple of his artists a plug and tell us what he's been up to at the TIRC and all those cool things going on. But Jeremy, let's go and dive into the music, man. Tell me your background in music. When did you start picking up the guitar or whatever it is you picked up first?
All right, so this is fun. I actually I picked up a guitar when I first joined the Navy, and I learned like 3 chords. I played with a few friends, and but I've never played live, never wrote any songs, any of that. And that only lasted a few months. But then in January of 2021, I decided to pick up the guitar again, and I started in January of 21.
So kind of a late bloomer in a way, huh?
Absolutely. And in February of 2021, we were in the heart of the COVID pandemic, and everything was closed down. But there's a local bar in town called the Honky Tonk Bar and Grill in Salem, Oregon, and they were the only ones that really kind of went against the grain. They stayed open. They put up tents in their back area. And they still had some small bands coming through, and then they'd have karaoke. Well, one of my friends is like, "Hey, man, you should really try this." He's like, "I've heard you singing along with the bands, and like you sound pretty good." So I was like, "Really?" I was like, I never dreamed of doing any kind of music growing up. I thought it was awesome, and I thought I would love to do it, but I didn't think I had any talent. So I tried it once, and then I was hooked. And
Very cool.
It took me about 8 months to put together being able to play guitar and sing at the same time, and I started writing some songs.
That's a good time, though, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 8 months, that's a drop in a bucket.
Yeah, started writing some songs, put a band together, and we played our first live full band show in April, and since then it's
that's this April.
Yeah.
So brand spanking new, the band.
Yeah.
Tell me about. Well, first of all, when you're learning the guitar, you're learning songs, you're writing songs. This is all coming very quickly, apparently.
Absolutely.
Where were you pulling the influence from? What was inspiring you as you were both learning the guitar and writing the songs?
All right. Well, I'll throw this out there. Yeah. Some of my biggest influences musically, I like a lot of the old stuff. Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson. And I like a lot of new artists, too. A lot of Texas artists, Creed Fisher, Cody Jinks, Cody Johnson. But then I also draw a lot of influence from... I really, really love...
You remind me of Creed Fisher, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, you really do. It's just in a good way. It's a good thing.
Right. I love...
He's a cool dude.
Two of my most favorite artists right now, and this might shock some people, are Sturgill Simpson and Tyler Childers, and I just love their songwriting. And Sturgill for his voice and his sound, and also his kind of an outlaw attitude. He's going to do what he's going to do.
I'm not surprised at all, though. They're very popular, especially in not in the big, huge mainstream sense, but in the kind of under, you know what I mean, just kind of under the mainstream. Just a lot of people who are ahead of the curve on music love those artists,
So, yeah, I mean, absolutely, and I love them, so I draw influences from a lot of different musical elements, and I kind of fit in that Americana realm, and my songs are kind of a little bit all over the place as far as I write what I'm feeling, and I draw a lot of influence from military time. and writing about what I know. I'm trying to put my own experiences into my songs. I'm not interested in writing cookie cutter songs that, whatever the Nashville formula is people are writing on now,
Now you've got a new single. It's called Take Our Freedom Back. Obviously, this is very much kind of a gung-ho American type of song.
It is, absolutely.
So what I'm going to go is we're going to go and play this. We'll come back out. We'll talk about the song itself. And I want to hear about your band, how you amassed the Avengers here, how you assembled them. But again, it's Jeremy Wayne McKern here. He's in from Salem, Oregon, making his Uvalde debut here in the patio, on the South Side patio if you're listening locally, here at Broadway 830. Again, the address is 100 East Main Street, downtown Uvalde. Delicious artisan pizza, some cold craft beer, some great drinks, and live music from 7 to 10 p.m. with Jeremy. So here's his new single. It's called Take Our Freedom Back, and you're hearing it first on Friday Night Live. This is UvaldeRadio.net.
We've got people living on the street, leaders bound to the elite, and it makes me sad. But what is there that we can really do? We're all puppets wearing masks. You'll be fired if you don't get vaxxed, and there's violence in every city that I come to. Are leaders even on our side? Are they just trying to cover their hides? I think it's time we take our freedom back before it's too late. Will you stand by my side? Stand up for those who died, those who fought for our freedom, or will you just obey? Genocide is happening overseas. We're on the verge of World War III, and it makes me mad. But what is there that we can really do? Cost of living is out of control as a great country lost its soul. We're all cold and hungry, they don't really care about me and you. Are leaders even on our side? Are they just trying to cover their hides? I think it's time we take our freedom back before it's too late. Will you stand by my side? Stand up for those who died, those who fought for our freedom, or will you just obey? Oh, it's up to me and you. I still believe that that statue of liberty still stands for freedom. The American way.
UvaldeRadio.net, Friday Night Live, Broadway 830 downtown Uvalde. Hey, I'm Robert Miguel, and that was Jeremy Wayne McKern. The song is called Take Our Freedom Back. Now, Jeremy, that's pretty brand spanking new, right?
Yeah, it's brand spanking
new. Like.
It just released to streaming on Saturday on Veterans Day, and then it just to radio Wednesday.
Not even a week old. So thank you for sharing it to us. Thank you to Sebi for getting it in our playlist. It's officially added at UvaldeRadio.net. So you'll see that on the chart reports, hopefully, showing up from time to time there. So we're excited to have a song on. So again, you're a veteran from Oregon here in Uvalde for the very first time, doing kind of a Veterans Week tour. Before we talk about the song, what spots have you hit so far? You've been in Texas this week. You might need Sebi for that frat list. Where have you guys hit this week?
So we started off last Saturday, Veterans Day, at the VFW Post, 1853.
Veterans Day Saturday. VFW.
Veterans Day.
In San Antonio, or what was that?
The VFW.
Sadler. Okay.
Sadler.
Canyon Lake. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, we did that for the local post. There.
Awesome, man.
I thought that would be a good place for him to get a start, and then.
You can come up with the mic if you want to just tell everybody. Yeah, just give us your quick tour itinerary.
So we had him at the VFW Post, the 1873 VFW Post in Sattler, and then the next day we did the Sunday brunch and kicked that series off for the River Rose Tavern, which is right across the street from Whitewater Amphitheater.
Nice.
So he got kind of a little nostalgic, almost like getting to play Whitewater kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And then Monday and Tuesday we took it pretty easy. Wednesday we went and met with David Lee.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hit songwriter David Lee.
Big songwriter, man. Yeah, huge.
And over at the Screaming Goat in Spring Branch, and got to meet up with Chad Boyd over there, Gareth Fowler, and a whole bunch of other writers that, I've had a little bit of a pull around the area with that I've helped out get their start and stuff, too.
Cool.
And David was instrumental in getting my songwriter night going and helped me launch that at Goofy's back in the day.
Right.
So it was cool to catch up with him. Jeremy had something happen to him. I don't even think he realizes how important it is. Now, mind you, I've known David for going on 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until my last run at radio before I hung it up and started doing what I'm doing now that he gave me a compliment on one of my songs. This dude played his first song, and he's like, man, I dug every single word of what you just said.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then
that's
even changed his song that he had planned playing next to one that was similar but different that he had written.
Wow.
And it was a great song, too. In fact, I told Jeremy, you may want to ask him about cutting that one.
Cool.
Because it would really kind of fit with his whole story and everything.
Well, man, it sounds like you guys are getting some traction, making the rounds.
And then yesterday we did the Old Iron Horse Saloon in Blanco and did a live radio broadcast there too. It's pretty much been a live radio broadcast everywhere we've gone.
Yeah.
And then we were blessed enough to be able to hook up with you, and thank you for making room for Jeremy.
And this is the wrap up here for the big tour,
This is pretty much it, man. We may get a call to do an opening for Drew Moreland tomorrow.
Oh, nice. That'd be great.
Back in Blanco.
Drew's
Don't
cool
know,
dude.
but if not, we're going to take the night off.
Hey, if not, let's just have some drinks here, enjoy some pizza. And again, it's Jeremy Wayne McKern in from Salem, Oregon, making his debut in Uvalde and making the rounds around Texas. Let's talk about Take Our Freedom Back, man. When did you write it? What was the inspiration?
I wrote this song. This was one of the very first songs that I wrote. I think I wrote it about a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And this song was kind of born out of the COVID pandemic and all the stuff that was going on. And I saw a lot of things that I didn't agree with that were happening. You know, we've got a massive homeless population that are on the streets that aren't being taken care of. We had government kind of jamming some mandates and stuff down our throats. And then we're out fighting a bunch of wars that I question some of the things that we're doing, I put that all into the song, and also a little tribute in there to our veterans that continue to try to keep us free. You know.
Now, just a personal question, because you brought up the pandemic, and I feel like it's only been a couple of years. Like, people are already forgetting Like it almost it's almost like a bad dream. You ever have a bad dream? You know it was bad. You wake up, and then somebody asks you 30 minutes later, you can't remember squat about that bad dream. You just know it was bad.
Absolutely.
And I feel like there's details about the pandemic, and every now and again I see some old footage, and I see just how much on lockdown, how little freedom we had, and how we were all just stuck in a house, just getting Uber Eats, you know what I mean, depressed, going through depression and anxiety, and some of us didn't know how our income was going, you know what I mean? It was crazy. Now it's all kind of back to normal. But, I mean, I think people, you know, that old Dara Worley song, Have We Forgotten? You know what I mean? It's like...
Absolutely.
It kind of reminds me of that. I mean, do you feel like people have a short memory?
I do. We were talking about this on the way down, but it's like, I can't believe that just a year or two ago, we had people being arrested for going to the gym.
Right.
We had businesses that were told that they could no longer function. They had to shut their doors and figure it out. And then the government gives them a little stimulus package of a couple $1,000s, and that's supposed to make it all better. And it didn't jive with me. Also, the fact that my daughter is now 14, and she had to take that whole year homeschooling, and it was crazy trying to get her back into school and back into school mode. It was just we've kind of like messed up a generation of
My
people.
daughter is 17, so just a little older than yours. But man, that her sophomore year, I mean, she's a great student, well adjusted, everything was great. But man, she went through, like I said, anxiety, depression. She had to learn on an iPad in her bedroom. Yeah, I mean, I'm working all day. And, you know, I'm doing my best to try to keep her on task. But I'm not a teacher. I'm not her instructor. And her grades slipped, and her social life was devastated. You know, and we're only finding out now probably what kind of an impact that what they went through is going to have on that generation.
Absolutely.
Because it's like a big old dent in their life, you know, in their timeline. It's so crazy. So what a great take on that, and again, taking our freedom back, and that longing to kind of.
And I mean, taking our freedom back, it's kind of just a call. I'm not calling people to stand up and go to guns, but it's like, I just want people to wake up.
We're not talking about Capitol riots here.
I want people to wake up and realize that we have lost a lot of the things that we used to have, and I'm hoping that we can bring some of those things back. You know,
I've said this, not to get too political, but you know, generationally, you know, we are still a free country, and we're still freer than most.
Absolutely.
But generationally, we become less and less free in the name of safety or technology or transparency or whatever, you know, good deed word, you know, that would make us feel better about ourselves. But it's happening, and our kids don't know that they don't know the freedom we had, and
Absolutely.
We don't know the freedom that our parents had. You know, so it's you get a few generations down the line, then are we really free? You know, so Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I'm with you.
Tell me about your other material. What other songs have you got in the can, or are you working on?
We're actually. My band and I, we just recorded an album recently, and I still got to do some stuff on the album we're going to release in January. And it's a combination of a lot of songs that I've written from my own experiences growing up, as an adult, going through some divorces and relationships, and I wrote a song that's about my little town that I grew up in, a little town of 1,000 people in Slutz.
Small town songs are great.
Slutz, Oregon. I grew up in a little itty-bitty town that is also a Native American Indian reservation,
cool.
And I love it there. And my parents still live there, and it's still 1,000 people to this day.
Wow.
And
that's amazing. When you know, I think of Uvalde as a pretty small place, and you know, we're about upwards of 20,000. So that puts that in perspective. You know.
I definitely grew up. I'm definitely a small town boy, but I've now been around the world, and I've seen kind of what the rest of the world has to offer. So I appreciate some other countries that I like to go to, but when it comes down to it, I'm glad that I live in the United States.
Such a cool, unique perspective you get whenever you've seen all these different cultures and different places, and again, getting back to freedom, different levels of freedom too.
Yes.
I'm sure it makes you appreciate what we do have here.
Absolutely.
So, and as far as we're going to talk about the band, but first about music, about the recording. Where are you guys recording? Is that being fleshed out yet?
So this is actually, I recorded my first single. I used a studio that's out of Georgia, and then second 2 singles I produced myself, fully produced them myself, and then the last 2 that we've just released, the one before this and this one, were recorded in Jackpot Studio up in Portland, Oregon, which is. I actually responded to a Craigslist ad, and I was looking for a producer, and there was a producer up there who was using a bunch of analog equipment and looking for some guinea pigs. So we went up there and recorded a couple of songs, and then I really kind of liked the feel of the songs. It had a really authentic kind of old school vibe. So we decided to use that studio to record our first album, and that's all self-funded out of our gig money.
Sounds like you got the Midas touch, man, making good decisions, you know? That's good.
Yeah, so we basically decided none of us were going to take any of our gig money. We all have day jobs, and we just rolled all that money into a pot, and then we took that money.
Band fun, yeah.
Band fun, and we've been using that for traveling. We've traveled out of town a few times over Eastern Oregon up into Washington to play some gigs where we needed to find ourselves lodging and all that stuff. So,
well, it sounds like you got some like-minded guys that are team players. Let's talk about that team right now. Tell me their names and what they do.
So we got Justin Schaefer Marsh, who is my bass player. He plays a stand-up bass, and he lives about 5 miles from me.
Gotta say, any band with stand-up bass is cool. Cool, you know it.
It is cool, and we get a lot of people coming up before we even start playing, looking at the bass and everything. And then Justin Thorpe is my fiddle and mandolin player. He plays fiddle and mandolin. So we have a 3-piece band right now. Cool. Me on rhythm guitar, and then Justin takes most of the lead parts because he plays the fiddle. And I just love the sound of a fiddle. I really do. And I feel very fortunate because they were both in another band. They were both in the same band. But that band's kind of not been doing a whole lot.
So they've already got their own rapport, their own, they've got it all down, and chemistry.
And I was blessed. I got Paul first, and then Justin came on he probably came on about 6 months ago, and that was a total dynamic change. It really filled out the sound really well. So I really think we have a unique sound, and I'm really excited about getting this album out.
Let's talk about the live set here tonight. Again, we got Jeremy Wayne McKern performing tonight here in Uvalde, 7 to 10 p.m. at Broadway at the Rio. You got the gear already set up. It's just you tonight, solo.
Yeah, it's just me solo.
So let's go and talk about the show tonight, and maybe dabble as to how it differs between you and the trio.
Well, I definitely miss my band because I won't call it a crush, but it's nice having a full accompaniment behind you.
Yeah. And you're a military guy. You're used to that camaraderie, that bro. You miss your bros, man. That's good, right?
Yeah, but I'm still gonna play. I'll play a bunch of my originals and a bunch of covers, and I've been playing guitar for about 2 years now, so I'm not the greatest guitarist, but I can get by. And
you ain't gonna be Eddie Van Halen up there, but you're gonna strum some stuff and keep the melody strong, right?
But I definitely, I think I get the most compliments on my vocals anyway, so I definitely lean more into the vocals. And when I'm with the full band, I've got a full accompaniment. It's nice, but it's a vibe.
So there's something interesting I wanted to bring up, because you mentioned how you thought about singing, you liked singing, but you never thought you could do it, And I've heard this story from gentlemen similar to you a lot over the years. Now, let's be honest. There used to be kind of a cast, a type of who could become a country and western star. Yeah. It used to be like, the George Strait, Garth Brooks types, then you go through the Brad Paisley types, the Keith Urban types. But they're, typically a look, clean-shaven country boys, cowboy hats, whatnot.
Absolutely.
In recent years, probably since Luke Combs, the burly guy, the guy with the beard, the guy that's got a little gruff, what I mean? All the way from him up to Jelly Roll, you know what I mean? And now we're looking at a complete overhaul of the mainstream country sound. And that's where guys like you and Creed Fisher, you know what I mean? And, the guys that have a little bit more, not so clean, not so clear, a little bit of heft to the voice, and like I said, a little facial hair going on.
Yeah.
Where you guys are like the mainstream to a certain extent now. Wouldn't you say? I mean, like your look and your sound is way more accessible than it was 5-10 years ago, I'd say.
Well, absolutely. You look at, I'll just throw this one out there. You look at Chris Stapleton.
Exactly.
He's got this big flowing beard and this really soulful, beautiful voice. Mm-hmm. And, 5-10 years ago, it probably wouldn't have been
the
like
voice
the
would have been there, but the look wasn't.
Right,
yeah,
right.
For sure.
So, I'm right there with you. And I never knew that I had the voice that I did. And now I just love singing.
And now you're the whole package, bro. It's awesome, man.
We're going to continue to work on it. I've noted some of my weaknesses on this trip, so I'll be going back home and
you got Mark here on your side to kind of tweak you and help you along. So, man, it's really cool of you to stop by Uvalde and give us the honor of being a part of your expanding and making a name for yourself. Again, we've been talking to Jeremy Wayne McKern. He's got a new single. It's called Take Our Freedom Back. It's now in rotation on UvaldeRadio.net. If you missed it, be sure and check out the podcast edition of this program later on. Listen to it over and over again if you can't catch it. Or where can we stream it? Is it streaming? Is it on your website? Or?
It is. It's streaming, and all of my music is streaming, and it's under Jeremy Wayne McKern. If you open up the search bar and type in Jeremy Wayne McKern, you'll find me. Also, my website, jwmwhiskeybound.com. Whiskeybound is the name of my band.
So Jeremy Wayne McKern and Whiskeybound.
Yeah, so it's jwmwhiskeybound.com. And yeah, you're right. The name is Jeremy Wayne McKern, and Whiskeybound is what we go by. So all my show schedule and all my links are on my website. And, of course, I'm under the same name across all social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and now Clapper as well. That's kind of a new one out there, but similar to TikTok.
Well, find him online, guys. Give him a like and a follow on all the social medias and et cetera, et cetera. And Jeremy, any final thoughts or shameless plugs or a shout out, anything you want to get off your chest?
I'll give a shout out to Mark. I appreciate everything that Mark's been doing and helping me run me around and show me how it's done. And other than that, I just want to thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been great knowing you, man. I'm looking forward to the show. And I'll tell you what, let's get Mark on the mic. Mark, get over here. I'm going to talk to Mark Sebi for a minute because people may not remember who Mark is, but Mark is the president, owner, founder, CEO of the Texas Internet Radio Chart, which UvaldeRadio.net has been honored 3-time winner, Internet Radio Station of the Year in Texas.
Scared you're going to take it again this year too. I've already got the emails, man. Are you gonna let McGill sweep again?
Hey, you guys tremble. We'll be back now. We might pull a Garth and just, You know
what's interesting, though, man? What I love about that dynamic is, and I've told you this before, your programming on Uvalde Radio is inspirational to me. I didn't really get into the radio side as a hobby. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to do a really good radio station. In fact, I think we've talked about this, I'd consider doing an AM station. Mm-hmm. But once I looked at all the red tape and the cost and everything, I was like, man, the money that I've spent doing what I've done for the past 4 years now has gone quite a bit further than it would have gone, I think, with an AM station and actually helping develop the scene in the industry. And that's really what the Texas Internet Radio Chart is for. It's for guys and girls like Jeremy and guys and girls, like Richie Bustillo and J.R. Herrera and a
couple of our favorites here on Friday Night Live.
And Brad Jinsky, and a shout out to Cynthia over at G289.
We got to get Brad Jinsky out here sometime. We still haven't had him yet, I don't think.
You haven't had Brad yet?
Well, maybe once on the phone, maybe. I don't know. But we need to get him out here live. That'd be great.
Right. I'll make that happen. And he's doing good on the charts right now with his single and everything. So it's, the chart it's my best friend and my worst enemy at the same time.
I know how that feels.
Army of one.
Labor of love, army of one. Yeah, all those phrases.
And it's hard, man. And a lot of people don't realize what goes into that. I spend literally 2 days a week preparing that thing. And I've started to streamline some of the process, which is why I rolled out the spin track and everything. And that helps me with automation a little bit and frees me up.
Well, and now you're talking language now that my listeners aren't really going to get.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the artist. Give us a few names of the up and comers because you're really in the scene in the San Antonio area.
Check out Jamie Weston for sure. He's got his first single out, Lonely, to radio. If you hadn't had a chance to listen to that, I know you got access to the Dropbox complete folder today. Go in there and listen to that one. I've got Bubba Wesley. We're doing a light push for him.
I had Bubba Wesley on a week or two ago. He played over in Campwood nearby at a little at the Hunters Roundup here in the area, and he's a cool cat, man. I like his story.
Awesome
he's got a cool sound, and his story is similar to what we were just talking about here with Jeremy. He's kind of one of those big burly guys that's kind of in vogue now. Well, he used to be the pretty boys were the guys that can get on the radio and all over. And now you got the guys with the voices and the facial hair. You know,
dude, Bubba has an amazing voice.
Yeah.
Jamie Weston, amazing voices. You know, the songwriting on both of them, I think it's there. Of course, we can all develop our song. You ask David Lee, you're never ready. You know, and you can keep getting better. You know, so and I know we can all get better in everything we're doing. Whether we're an artist, whether we're a program director, whether we're a chart editor, we can all do better in this industry. And I think that there's a lot of talent here in Texas, a ton of it, man. There's so much that I think we miss a lot of it too. You ever feel like that?
Well, yeah. I mean, don't let it weigh you down. Don't let it make you not have a good time.
But they got to be willing to fight and do. You got a guy that just came, from the West Coast to establish his residency.
That is a great example, you know, because you got people that are if they're willing to come across the nation, across the country, to come out here and just to be a part of this scene, then you know it has value. And we expect that from our other players that are local, you know. You got to work, got to hustle, man. And you're a hustler, man. You work, and I don't mean that in a negative way. You're working hard.
Well, there's a hustle to everything we all do.
Give our listeners the website for Texas Internet Radio Chart and all the stuff you're involved in.
If you would be so kind, if you love Texas music and you are really about supporting the up-and-coming artists, please join us over at TexasInternetRadioChart.com. We'd be happy to have you there. You can sign up for a free lifetime membership to the chart, which means that you can view the chart. Maybe you'd like to purchase spin tracks and track the artists. That's available too. But the biggest thing is our award show. We're going to do it again at Goofy's this year, and that is going to be on May 19th this year at Goofy's. And Pug Johnson and the Hounds will be headlining that this year.
Those guys are good, man.
Yeah, I thought that'd be a good fit. You know, we're a little smaller award show. You know, we're the new kids on the block, but you know, we're trying to work with the artists. You know, there's that little kind of level right before you get to where, you know, the TCMC and the T3R and stuff like that, where you kind of got to have a launching pad and you got to learn the ropes.
And that's what you do really well, man. You're an artist development. You're developing these artists, getting them ready to move on to bigger and better things, or bigger places. So
well, it was like JR, man. Yeah. We passed him off with Cynthia. It was time. We were 5 songs in, 5 singles out to radio, and I told him, hey, man. He listened about going to Mac Damon. I love that dude. The Mac Damon Stone Creek Sound, shout out to him. He has done amazing work with everybody I've sent to him. And there's some I couldn't send him because they weren't the right client. You know.
So everybody go to TexasInternetRadioChart.com. If you can sign up via email so you can view the chart and get more information. If you're an artist, submit your music to get tracked and et cetera, et cetera.
Correct. Yeah, y'all please. That's real important. I'm glad you said that. Please take the time if you're submitting music to read chart eligibility, of course, and also use that music submission tab. If you go over to the little menu on TexasInternetRadioChart.com, you'll see both of those, chart eligibility, and the cool thing, a lot like CDX had done this too, all of our station panel is listed too. So if you need to get in touch with that station, or you want to thank Robert for all the work he's doing with the Texas scene, and when we start voting and doing all that stuff, if you want to vote and let him sweep 4 years in a row, well, that's going to be the place to do that.
Well, the Texas Internet Radio Chart Awards will be May 19th at Goofy's Bar and Grill, right?
Correct.
And UvaldeRadio.net, we will definitely be there, although we might just bow out. I don't know. If you're getting that much,
I'm kidding,
we want to be down.
I'm kidding. Okay. You should know me well enough now.
How many years did Garth win Entertainer of the Year before he bowed out? Like 6 times?
Yeah, well, that's another kind of a cool thing. My recurrent methodology is a little different than the other charts. Someone could hit number 1, bounce down to 5, 6, 7, and jump back up to number 1.
Sure, yeah.
We're not trying to limit it. We don't want it to take up space. But I mean, shoot, you had Matt Castillo 8 weeks straight, man. Yeah. Number 1 on the chart, and that was a heck of a song.
That's a great
song.
So
whatever that report spits out from the monitoring, those are the numbers.
We're talking a lot of business inside information now. The story tonight is be here at Broadway 830 at 100 East Main Street in downtown Uvalde. Jeremy Wayne McKern live tonight from 7 to 10, which is like 15 minutes from right now. So we're in the south side of the patio, which is the one nearest to Main Street. Come on out and enjoy some artisan pizza, some cold beers. We got some great drink specials. They've even got this crazy pizza pizza that they decided to do for November. The double-decker pizza,
Whoa.
which got buffalo chicken and mozzarella on the bottom layer, and then the top layer is marinara, garlic, mozzarella, pepperoni, and pickled jalapenos. And I think I'm getting one of those tonight just to see what the madness is all about. But come on out here and see us at Broadway 830, 100 East Main Street, downtown Uvalde. Jeremy, thank you so much for your time, my brother.
Thank you.
Mark Sevi, always a pleasure catching up with you. It is now party time at downtown Uvalde as we wrap up Friday Night Live. This is UvaldeRadio.net. See you, bro.